Well, hi all. This is another episode of Anecdotal Evidence. I actually just got through recording a whole, 30, 40 minutes of an episode, and I pretty much covered everything I want to do, so I want to say, so I really don't want to say it all over again. Now, understandably so, everybody is watching a video, they want to see movement and stuff like that, but unfortunately my hardware did not comply with that ability to achieve those results on the last attempt. So I'm just making this opener to give you a clue that what follows is rather limited in the video. It's the same thing you're seeing right now, only you're gonna see stuff like broken just frames. You're not gonna see any video, and so if you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. But it's all in what I have to say, not watching my face move. So I decided to go ahead and keep it, and I put this in as a disclaimer so that you can watch my face move and understand that it's going to start not moving once I actually play the episode that I recorded. So having said that, I hope you still listen to what I have to say. Well, hi all. This is another Anecdotal Evidence episode. I think it's 11 or 12. In my old age, I failed to keep track of all these things. It is a Sabbath. Today is a Saturday, December the 13th. And I thought I wanted to say something that's related to the Sabbath. It's spiritual. My things that I want to talk about really in my mind, they're all over the map. It would probably be more efficient if I wrote notes so that I didn't wander all over the map, but the essence of expediency and not involving myself in a whole lot of tedium, I'm just going to wing it and go for it. And also because I am not competing for hits or popularity or anything else, and so therefore I'm not really concerned about some of those elements. So you'll just have to forgive, and if you want to fast forward to the meat of the matter, I totally understand. So I think the topic, as I said, in my mind, it's all over the map. But I feel like there's some key points. I think the number one key point that I want to establish is that, and at the end of this video, I'll play a song which sort of reflects this. And that is that in terms of our perspective on what's going on this planet, we got bits and pieces of the truth, and some of it's even the facts. But just like what's in my mind, the understanding of the general population about what's going on is all over the map. And but there are some really important key parts to understand. And I've stated some of them before, but I'll state them again. Number one, God, the Creator, the Most High, no matter what name, well, it does matter. There's some names you don't want to associate with the Creator of the universe. But the number one point is, and if you can't accept this, then you might as well just turn off this video and go watch somebody twerk or something. As that is that the God, the Creator, exists, is not only exists, but is alive and conscious in all, if not everything, almost everything that we see around us. And that's aside of the other conceptual things that are going on about this simulation reality and that's a sort of another topic. But even in a simulated reality, the essence of our avatar is our spirit, our consciousness. And even if we are manifested in a simulation, the core of our being comes from that first fact, which is the existence of the Creator. Okay. The other thing is that we have reached a crisis point in our consciousness evolution, and that at this point in 2025, there is a significant number of people who understand and realize and feel it, that there is an awakening going on. There is a higher level of thinking. There's not, even though it's available, that doesn't mean everybody's taking advantage of it, because without being insulting, I'm sorry, but most of the people on this planet just don't have a clue. And even those of us that have some clues still haven't got the whole picture. And just as an aside, anybody who thinks they got the whole picture is fooling themselves. But there are some things which are true and valid and need to be said. I guess the thing that needs to be said the most is that those of us that are on the consciousness awakening path need to realize that we are on a timeline, that we are on a schedule, we're on a plan of action that was initiated eons ago. There's no way to actually, pinpoint a lot of it, but there's some of it we can. And I can state, unequivocally, that we have less than 5 years to get our shit together before this shit's going to hit the fan, and we have absolutely no control over it whatsoever. All we will have control over is what we accomplish in the next 5 years. By 2030, whatever levels of consciousness evolution we have achieved is about all we're going to have to work with for the next 10 years after that. And the nature of prophecy and revelation of John is a perfect example, is that it is a gift to help us understand what we're dealing with, and that it's not a declaration of the future. It's an example of the possibilities of the future, specifically in Revelation, that if we don't get our shit together by a certain time, then terrible stuff is going to befall us individually and on the earth. Now, depending on your perspective, right now on the planet, there are people who are experiencing hell. They're experiencing the worst of possibilities. So the fulfillment of really catastrophic prophecy is actually happening to people all over the planet at this point, even though most of us here in America, for example, have been insulated from it for a long time. But it's starting to creep into our reality here in the United States as well. I don't need to point that out. Anybody with any discernment has seen the same things I've seen. But we are in a movement, a process that is connected to a schedule or a timeline. And what we need to do is back off. I mean, obviously, we have tools, and the internet is a tool, AI is a tool. There are many tools that we have, and we can use them wisely or not. It's our choice. We need to back off from our immersion into the virtual realities that are going on, which on the two-dimensional level is our computers and our cell phones. They're tools. We still need to use them in order to keep up with what's going on, and this is true. We have built up too much reliance on them to basically fill up our time, tell us where to go, how to act, everything else. We need to back away somewhat, and the perfect example of how we do that is the Sabbath. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this today on the Sabbath, is because the Sabbath, without getting into religious connotations and even, any particular religious perspective, the Sabbath is a core aspect of true belief in spirit, and it's a gift. It was a gift from the Creator to the ancient Hebrews first, but because of the advent of Yeshua, or as many know as Jesus, that gift was extended to the rest of the world. So all of mankind was gifted with the Sabbath. And one of the ways in which it's described in the Bible, for example, is that the Sabbath was not created for God but for man, because we need to be able to back off of our worldly obsessions and our immersions and particularly technology these days is what I'm talking about. So the Sabbath is an example of a path or a solution, and how we can start organizing these gifts which are being given to us at this time of the Great Awakening, and also taking into consideration that we have at least for the moment in this era, we have a distinct time limit, a schedule, a clock ticking scenario. And a lot of information and truth and facts has come out in the past 25 years since things opened up on the internet. And of course, all of that's been greatly confused by the adversarial influences that jumped on the bandwagon as soon as they could. And so in order to really understand the truths that are being given out this time, one already has to have a faculty of discernment. And the way in which one gets that faculty of discernment is starting in your youth. I suppose it could start later in your old age too, but it's a lot harder. Starting in your youth, you use your imagination, and you get the information that's given to you from other believers and philosophers and teachers, and you put together in your own imagination what the story is, and then you go in various different ways, sometimes consciously, sometimes just being prepared to receive enlightenment or understanding without actually having some sort of a method that you go to find the truth. The method to finding the truth is opening up yourself to it, and that sounds simple, but anyone knows it's not, because we are trained to use our mind, not our consciousness. So our mind is always going to get in the way unless we have to, and there is method to that, to getting the mind out of the way. One of them, which is the safest way, is through meditation and prayer. There are other more extreme radical ways, and I'm not going to endorse them, but I'm not going to deny them either. We have this time right now, 5 years approximately. 2030 is like a pivotal year, and there's a lot of hearsay out there on the internet which uses that number as a pivotal year, because that's actual something that it weaves like a common thread through a lot of perspective and understanding of what's going on here. So we need to back off, and we need to start doing our own Sabbaths, where we gather together. We discuss our understandings, our recent experiences, and we don't want to get caught up too much in ancient past history of our own lives. And, I'm often accused of this because I have a lot of stories. I had a lot of experiences in my life, which actually I believe, and I know they're pertinent to everything that's going on, because I started off my journey as a youth, seeking truth and understanding. And because I started doing that and stuck to it my whole life, even though there were times when I almost fell off of it, for reasons which are very human. And I'm by no means am I a perfect individual in the concept of the Judeo-Christian philosophies. I am definitely a sinner, or have been anyway. I'm trying not to be one now. But we come together, back off, put away our cell phones, turn off our computers, and gather together organically to where we can look at each other's eyes and discuss these things and share information that we have. Like right now, one of the things that I want to share as part of this monologue is the idea of leveling up. And anybody who plays a video game understands what that means. But I'm talking about consciousness right now. I just experienced a phenomenon just a few days ago, which, though it was incremental and small and the whole picture, it was very obvious to me that it was definitely a leveling up. Things changed in a noticeable way in my own perception, my own consciousness, and I ran this past at least one of my sons, and he understood and agreed. And I don't need to go into details what that leveling up was, but I suspect there are a lot of other people out there that also have experienced this very same thing recently. Because as we move towards this 5-year date or 2030, as I'm saying, things are not going to slow down. They're going to keep accelerating, and so it's like we need to be conscious of these things, but we need to actually do actions which are going to strengthen our abilities to deal with the heavy duty shit that's coming down after this 5-year limitation has happened. Like between 2030 and 2040, there's the potential for some really bad stuff is right there. It's not like looming in some hypothetical future. Pretty much anybody who's looking can see that it's just waiting like a mousetrap to spring on the world. Kind of, it's trigger loaded, and any number of events could precipitate cascading events, which wouldn't be good. So we have a potential solution, which is our consciousness awakening, and we need to share that, but we need to share it not on the internet, because the internet is infested. The YouTube and all of the social media is absolutely, not absolutely, but overwhelmingly corrupted by misinformation, polarized emotions, segregated ideologies, division, and all the other words that you can put into it, adjectives. And so the internet is not the place where we need to share our consciousness, because if we feed our consciousness into this medium, we're like, we're giving it metaphorically to Lucifer, saying, write a book. Here, Lucifer, write a book about what we believe. That's kind of what putting your stuff up on the internet is. So, I mean, there's an irony in the fact that I'm doing this, but I understand that I'm doing it not for most of the reasons why people do this stuff on the internet. I'm not trying to get monetized or a number of hits, or because I really don't care, particularly when it comes to this information, because it's already, 40 years ago, me trying to put this information out there was dangerous. It was dangerous to me personally. And I have my own experiences about just how dangerous it is to speak the truth. So I'm not worried about it, because I know that the very algorithms on YouTube, for example, would prevent anything that I put up on the internet as to being seen by more than a few hundred people over a period of months. And then after that, it just trickles down to hardly anything. So because of those very algorithms which prevent me from achieving any kind of notoriety, I'm pretty safe, and I realize that. So I feel like I can, speak my mind and be honest, and so we've leveled up. There will be more leveling up, but there will be an increase of leveling up if we're able to bring our conscious together. For example, on a Sabbath, Sabbaths happen to average of 4 times a month, right? Sometimes 5. And if we do that, then every time we come together and we present understandings and experiences and consciousness revelation, it extends outward. It becomes magnified. In the teachings of Yeshua, he says, if 2 or more are gathered in my name, I will be with you. And that is oversimplified, but its meaning is vast. It's multiple. And if 2 or more of consciousness come together for the intent of consciousness, then that consciousness will magnify by the third, which in the allegory of Yeshua speaking is represented as the higher consciousness or the authority of consciousness. So when you come together organically to share the consciousness, then your consciousness is going to expand. And we've hit or missed around that for a long time. There's a lot I could segue off on other topics which are related, having to do with America and stuff, but I don't want to get too far. I'm already all over the map, as I said. So we have been leveling up, and we need to come together, and we need to come together on the Sabbath organically, face to face. We need to look in each other's eyes. We need to feel each other's hearts. We need to share each other's music and singing and arts, and join hands and pray. And we need to do all these things as much as possible in the next 5 years, because that's all we can do. There is no political solution, as in the song by Sting, Spirits in the Material World. There is no political solution. And there is no social economic solution. There is no manipulation of the ways of this world which are going to solve the problems of this world, because the problems of this world are in our heart, mind, soul, and consciousness, or in the sense of a lack of consciousness. But they're in the mind and they're in the heart. And so they affect the soul. But the ways of the world, money, politics, that's sort of the 2 major movers and powers in the world, money and politics. And most religions are just another kind of politic, and just like politic is another kind of religion, and I just to an aside, I recently had a logical discussion with ChatGPT about science and religion and what the distinctions and the differences. And to make it short, after several hours of having this logic discussion with ChatGPT, I got ChatGPT to agree with me 100% that the practice and the ideology of empiricism, which is the basic core of what we consider to be science, that ideology of empiricism is in fact no different than a religion. Now, I'm not going to break that down for you. Just take my word for it that ChatGPT agreed with me. Okay, so moving on to back to where I was speaking. Things are not what they seem to be. Looking at the reality of the situation is imperative. Establishing your own core of the knowledge of truth. Belief in truth is a necessary aspect of getting it started on the path. But sooner or later, you find the truth. If you're actually honestly looking for it, you find the truth. And once you find the truth, that becomes knowledge. And that knowledge is the true foundation of real substantial faith. You may argue, and some will, that faith and belief are almost synonymous, that they go together. But the truth is that belief is just one stage of faith. The ultimate establisher of faith is knowledge of truth. And how you find the truth, it's not outside you. Everything outside you that you see is at best a reflection of the truth, not an embodiment of it. You and I are the embodiment of the truth, if we choose to be. The access to the ability of consciousness to discern the truth is an interior access, not an exterior one. And external records and the Bible and scriptures and other writings and records of other wise men throughout the ages are very valuable. They're valuable. Let's not discount their information. But you cannot base your faith on third-party information. You have to base your faith on your own personal experience with the Spirit, and the creation, and the Creator. And you may ask, well, how do I do that? Well, it's really basically simple, and it does start with a sort of a belief rather than a knowing. You have to believe that if you ask the question, that it will be answered. And the scriptures support that. So to find out how to discern the truth, you start by praying in whatever ways you understand and feel is right to you, or meditation, which in some ways is the same thing. And though it's possible to find other sort of quicker ways to access that, like through taking such things, psychedelics as mushrooms or pure LSD or ayahuasca, those things are also, in a way, they can be misleading. And if you don't already have, of the beginnings at least, of the foundation of truth and understanding of it, then looking for truth in those with those tools is just as likely to confuse you as it is to actually give you anything, because they don't contain the truth within them. As I said, the truth is within you and it's within me. And the faculties for discerning is also accessed from within, not without. So once you figured out how to discern the truth, and your intuitive is one faculty which is part of that. Learn to trust your intuitive. And your intuitive will tell you things, and then you will see the results of that intuitive. And when you do that, make a note in your consciousness that your intuitive was being truthful with you. And that aids you in discerning the truth. Your intuitive is an aid. But until you actually learn to discern the truth and start being able to see it from within your own faculties of experience and observation and awareness, then all the external records and information that you can get, you could have a library, you could see all the YouTube videos of all the stuff that's being said about it, but if you don't have that foundational faculty of discernment of truth, it's meaningless. So and the way we're going to get that, and you're going to get that, is by disregarding the external and hooking up with the immediate temporal of being and consciousness by organically coming together, sharing, looking in each other's eyes, and doing it on the Sabbath is a special way to do it. Okay, I'm sure there's more I could say, because like I said, my mind is all over the map. I hope you got something out of it. What's following this is a song called Not the Way You Think It Is. This was written many years ago. And due to my cynical, radical nature, it's a bit radical. It's a bit radical song. And some of you could probably understand why in all these years I've been writing songs and stuff that I don't get much notice. It's because the the algorithms of the popular and the so-called successful, etc., etc., they definitely don't want to hear what I have to say. So if you're watching this, I hope you get something out of it. This is another end of another episode of Anecdotal Evidence, which I cannot do every day because I have a life to live and I don't make my living sucking off the internet. So I'm just doing this as a gift, and it also helps me because I get it off my chest, and at least a few people will see it. So I did my job. So thanks again for watching, and right after this, when I say goodbye, this song will be added to this video called "Not the Way You Think It Is," which I have to add one more disclaimer here. This song and many of the ones I'm dealing with right now are all reproductions of originals, which I recorded at some point in my past, and I plugged them into AI to regenerate them in a more so-called professional or production style of sound and quality. And the quality of sound and production is definitely better than the original, and not always, but it's always different anyway. And it's probably more palatable to the general ear than some of the stuff that I've done. But the words are going to be radical because I am radical. So this is the end of this episode, and thanks for watching.
It's not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is. I'm sorry, I just gotta tell the truth. It's not the way you think it is. All of our lives we've been lied to by unsuspecting fools who've been lied to themselves. And I wonder what kind of thunder it would take to change your mind. It's not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is. I'm sorry if it takes you by surprise. Can't you hear the music? Open up your eyes. Look out your window, it's a nightmare. Everyone going nowhere, just as fast as they can. And no one's telling me that's some kind of way to be free. Counting your lives on a wristwatch, down to a man. It's not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is, not the way you think it is. I'm sorry, it's really up to you. Some of us are living, you can do it too. Can't you see what is coming to? The way you're believing is the way your life comes true. And there's no hope if you believe in fear just to get yours while you are still here. Is your freedom safe inside a bank? Does your soul deposit? No, it must think. I'm sorry, not the way you think